I didn't think hockey was going to be an option. I never even crossed my mind to play hockey after that. And my next moment came after my junior year. We finished our season and the assistant coach came up to me and he said, have you ever thought about playing pro hockey? And so I was 24 at the time. So, most guys are already there. Right. And so I laughed and I said, no, I've never thought about it. Well, I don't have a reason to think that I would play pro hockey. And he said, we've had a few American League teams, which is the league below the NHL, ask about you. And I was like, wow, okay. And he said, I think you could have a solid 5-10 year career. And in the American League, if you really worked on your game, and who knows, like maybe you get a shot in the show one day. He's like, I've never seen anyone hit like you can hit. And if you can just add some of those other elements to your game, I really think you could do something. And so I thought, holy shit, like I never even thought about it. Like me, a small town kid from Revelstoke, and gone through all. And again, I scored 1 goal in my first year at junior A. I didn't have a reason to ever think pro hockey, really. And so I went home that night, and the first thing I thought of was that experience in the burn unit. And I'm like, if I can do that, if I can come back from that injury to come back and play hockey, why can't I play in the NHL? And I just made a decision again. That night I said, well, let's do it then. I'm going to do this. And I had let that whole visualization, hell-bent attitude, defiant attitude go those first 3 years at Brown, because I had made it. So I didn't have the wherewithal to think, what's next? What else could I do? I was just too young and immature. But when I had this moment, I went back and I thought, okay, what do I know? And it's the power of the mind and the visualization piece, right? So I reverted back to all of that. I called my parents. I'm not coming home this summer. I'm going to live at the arena and I'm going to make sure this happens. And I did. I was just crazy how it proved itself true another time for me. And I've had more of these moments after retirement. So in 1 year, I went from no one in the NHL knowing who I was to my last year at Brown, everyone, and, having multiple contract offers and having this crazy senior year. And it took 1 good year and then I was off. So,
wow. It's really interesting. I think people are so afraid of adversity. They're so afraid of going through very difficult times, but they're the catalysts for building strength that make future things Absolutely. Just easy. And then when you face that adversity again, it's like, oh no, I've been here. And so I think it's such a great story because like everybody needs to hear this and be reminded of it, because I think they can all reflect back on when they've gone through hard times and the strength they pulled out of it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I would say, and that's what the main theme of my book really too is about, is just adversity it's a disguised gift, right? And you don't know it in the moment, but if you can have that mindset and reflect back, you'll reflect back one day and be thankful for those times. And, I think visualization especially can help you unwrap that gift, if that makes sense. And that'll help you have the confidence and trust in your journey of where you want to get to or go to. And then you reflect back and you're like, well, I wouldn't have done this without the adversity piece, right? And so I think it's hugely important. And a lot of people, we shield ourselves from it. We shield our kids from it. I don't think that's right.
I think that's a mistake. Yeah.
I think it's a huge problem, actually, to be in this world.
Yeah.
I think it's a massive problem. I'm not advocating you go play with fire and light yourself up, but, life's going to happen, man. And whether you like it or not, that adversity's coming. And so you can't shield yourself from that or shield our kids from it. So
I've got a question I want to talk more like about your experience in the NHL. I think it's because it's really interesting. And I'll be frank, I'm not a huge hockey fan, but I think it's a fascinating world. It's a fascinating industry. And one of the quotes that I saw was Daniel Sundin saying, he said, "You're a true competitor, a fierce player on the ice and a great teammate off the ice." And it was the nuance between on and off the ice where I was like, I wonder what the difference is there. And tell me about those experiences and what was it like on the ice and then in the team room kind of thing?
Yeah, I think for a lot of guys, myself included, especially with the role that I played, was a lot of fighters and enforcers will tell you the same thing. You have to be a totally different person on the ice than who you are off the ice. So you almost you have an alter ego essentially. And,
wow. Okay.
Right? And for me, that was always a struggle with fighting, especially. So there's two ways to have a fight in the NHL or professional hockey, which is less prevalent now. You're trying to set the tone for a game, or you fight the other enforcer. It's almost like a pissing contest a little bit, right? I'm tougher than you, but it's more like I want to give my team the early edge and we're going to get in the fight. And so you line up beside each other and you say, hey, you want to go? And say, yeah, okay, sure. And you square off and you do the dance. And
so you're telling me at the, the center line or the blue line, you're shoulder to shoulder and you have this conversation. And then the puck drops and you drop your gloves. And you both know you're going in.
And you're going to trade bare knuckle punches in front of 20,000 people. Yeah.
Amazing.
And so for me, that was always a really tough switch to turn on in those type of fights, because for a lot of reasons, you don't want to get knocked out in front of 20,000 people. And for me, I'm not a huge guy. I was fighting guys that were like 4 or 5 inches bigger and 40 pounds heavier, right? So I'm like, if I get hit the wrong way here, I'm going to be sleeping. And I don't want to get A, sent down to the minors because of that, and B, have a concussion, and C, get embarrassed, So you have that. But it was really tough for me to turn on that switch in those type of fights versus the ones where, let's say I run a guy over with a hit and some guy comes and whacks me and I'm already amped up and those wires have already crossed. And so I fared much better in those fights than the other ones, because it's almost like you had to get punched in the face a few times to really wake up,
Yeah. Hey, that's so interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So, and you're just so laser focused on, playing. You don't want to obviously make a mistake. You're playing in the NHL, right? And then you almost have to turn all of that off away from the rink, because you'd go mad if you didn't. But
so was there conversations like you're about to go on, it's game time, the coach is there and, it looks over you, and I think your nickname was Patty. It's like, Patty, okay, I need you to go light that guy up right off. Like, we need to set the tone. Was that the kind of narrative that would be had in it's the dressing room, not the team room? Jesus.
It wasn't really like that. It was more just you as a person in that role, you already know if there's someone that needs to be attended to, or you know what I mean? Or if they got to tell you, then you're probably doing your job, not doing your job. I think that existed more even before my time, where they would say, hey, but it's pretty, the writing's on the wall for who, you're going to maybe match up against. Or if there was a guy laid a cheap shot on one of your better players in a game prior, if you're on the ice against that guy, there's probably a reason for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.